What's up, everyone? Welcome back here for another episode of Panthers vs. the World. And first off, I want to give a shout out to our producer, Joel, for putting another great episode on here. And Jeremy, thank you for joining us as well. Back here for another episode. It's not as good as our previous episodes in terms of the mood, but I didn't think we were going to go 16-0. But
it was going to be very tough.
It would have been. But yeah, how are you feeling after one win and one loss since we've last done one of these here?
Maybe we were a little bit too cocky after game 3. Might have been a little bit too cocky after game 3. I think that was our first true game where we didn't see. I don't know. There was a different spark in Tampa. There's a different spark in Tampa, and I'm not quite nervous now. I didn't feel good after the game. I don't think I'll ever feel good. I'll never feel terrific after a playoff loss. So, I feel a lot better now, given, if you just look at how the team battled, even when all the odds were just not even close for them of winning that game. They still battled and still made it close. So, the team's still in an amazing chance of winning this series.
Yeah. I thought for me, like I as well was kind of not like nervous, but like I'm a bit concerned. I think it'd be naive not to be. But I was watching Paul Maurice's post game press conference, and he kind of just said look, our goal was to come up here and split. It didn't happen. If you asked anyone before, you would say Panthers probably lose game 3, and then you hope they could get game 4.
Yeah.
It's just the way they did it. Like, it doesn't feel like it was a split, but the goal was accomplished. I think when we spoke before game 3, that's what you said, and I'm sure agreed as well, because I think if you told me before we could go up there and split, I would have said, I'll take it. You don't need to tell me anything else. It was just kind of the manner in which it happened. Yeah. But look, there's still 3 more games. So just got to win 1. I think everyone is hoping for it to be game 5, and I expect a really good effort here. I think they want to wrap it up in 5. I can't imagine they didn't learn from last year. So I expect them to win in game 5.
I think the team could really just go ahead and use this rest. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it before after game 2, but the team needs the rest. So the faster you can wrap this up, or just wrap it up in general, the longer you get to take time off and be able to sit back and enjoy the other series, and also more importantly, just get healthy. Because, again, we're still missing some key guys out of the lineup right now. Lomberg is not there. Bennett is obviously not there. So you really need to wrap this up tomorrow. It feels like you don't have to, but you just don't want to give any more momentum to Tampa either. If you have to go back to Tampa for game 6 is not great. So just wrap it up tomorrow and make sure everything's all right.
Yeah, I would say that if for some reason they don't finish it tomorrow, then I would definitely won't lie and say I'll be nervous. Just because, in general, and kind of how the series is going right now, like, I feel like we haven't seen the best game yet from Vasilevsky or Kucherov. And I feel like that's yet to come here potentially. So that's why I just show up here. Like, there's a lot of players for us, I feel like, who haven't played their best game either. Like Barkov, you feel like this is a time where he can really step up here and just get the other guys to keep contributing. Like, the big guys have stepped up. Let's take it to another level here. In terms of the Lightning, I think that was a completely desperate hockey team playing like they were down 3-0 in the series, and the Panthers just weren't ready to answer that from the start. It seems like that's kind of been sort of the story of the series. just when the Panthers have a lead, like they can't match the Lightning's intensity for a little bit here. And then when they come back, like in other games, it was enough time. But in this one, they just dug themselves too deep of a hole. It felt like, and they couldn't end up coming back. And then also just for them, like not only being down 3-0, like the quotes from Cooper to try to get the team motivated seemed to work. And Sergachev being a miracle to modern medicine and coming back was, I'm sure, very good for team morale there, because I did not think that was even a remote possibility that he
No,
was
I don't think anyone even I don't think anyone even thought about Sergachev returning at all, even in the playoffs in general. So the fact that he even returned in the first place is insane to me. I feel like, one, I'm not going to go ahead and say I'm not a team doctor, so I can't go ahead and clarify. I can't say if it was dangerous or not. But I mean, I don't think it was the right decision. But obviously, it must have done something, because it kind of reminded me of when Stamkos returned for the Cup Finals in their first year when they were facing Dallas back in their bubble run in 2020. It kind of felt like that to me, where the difference was Stamkos actually scored. So, I mean, that was huge. But it felt like to me how he just provided such a boost to that lineup.
Yeah, he really did. And he just contributed so much, like on the ice too, not only just to the whole general mood. Like he was noticeable out there. I was like shocked they had him on like penalty kills and 4-on-4s, because the injury is just so gruesome. And it didn't feel like there was any chance of him to play. And then for him to be just out there, like just gotten it out, from what I can imagine, because I'm again, like you said, I don't claim to be a doctor either. But I just can't imagine that it's fully healed yet, and there's not some other damage that's being done to it. But he's a warrior, man. Full credit to him, and full credit to the Lightning for just having a great game plan, and they executed it. And once they got a big enough lead, like they just knew they had to hold on. They weren't playing the best sound defense or keep trying to attack us, but they knew that they just had a cushion and could hold on to it.
Yeah, it's worth noting too. I didn't truly realize how much he played. He played 17 minutes last night. So I mean, Sergachev was ready to play, and they gave him. I mean, 17 minutes is still quite a lot, especially for a defenseman. So I mean, he was obviously ready to play, and they gave him as much time as he needed. So I mean, I think more importantly too, the Panthers scored 3 goals on Vasilevsky. Sometimes 3 goals on Vasilevsky is just a lot. So, and Vasilevsky still had a great series, in my opinion. There was a couple times where he did give up some questionable goals. I think the OEL one last night was one that he probably wishes he had back. But I mean, also there was a lot of times where he didn't stop pucks, and it wasn't even his fault. But I think more importantly, we should talk about Bob. And I think that was Bob's first truly. One could argue that was his worst game of the year, and he gave up 6 goals. I'll give him credit. 2 of them I don't really blame him for. The first goal and the last goal I don't really blame him for. Both were power play goals, and ones where he was completely just not there for, and it was impossible for him to get back to. So I don't really blame him on them. However, I think when you look at the fact that Tampa Bay had only 1 5-on-5 goal, 5 of them came where it was 4-on-4, penalty kill, or on a power play. That's a big issue, and Bob was not stepping up last night. And every single time the Panthers created some momentum for them and were able to get back in the game, Bob was not there to back them up and cause them a big hole. But this is the first time, and probably since the Vegas series last year, where Bob did not look great. So I'm not really worried. And if it's another thing that happens in Game 5 tomorrow night, then we should also be concerned, because then you might have to have a conversation where you have to turn to Stoli. But if it's not, we're fine. But we're hoping it's only just like a little blip. And
No, totally. I agree with you 100%. Like he just finally looked human for the first time in a long time. And even just like, not just the goals, like he was just all over the place. Like it didn't feel like he was himself last night. And as well, to echo what you said, like it's only one game, but it's only one game until it's not one game.
Yeah.
Like next game, the same stuff happens that happened in game 3. Then the Panthers have a lot of questions they need to start asking, and they don't have a lot of time. But it's the same thing as if the Panthers lost game 1 or to the Lightning when you lose game 1. Like it's not the end of the world. It's one game, but then quickly it does change because, as we said, like if they could win game 2 like the Lightning, like then we got a series all of a sudden, and the ball it'd be us panicking here instead of them being down 0-3 and talking about blowing it up, and then we're like, how can we come back from this? Like blah blah blah. But all that. This is a veteran team. Like even in that game, they very easily had their moments where they could have tied the game and then possibly got on to win. Like Reinhart hits the post, that could have gone in, and
Yeah, I mean there were so many times where I know Reiner hit the post. I know there was another some at one point I think it was 5-3 that could have made it 5-4 where we had the goalpost too that beat Vasilevsky on the left side just a little bit too wide of the net that hit the goalpost. I mean, if either one of those go in, A, it's a tie game, or B, we have a lot more momentum going on our way, and it's a lot different than the ending when we took a penalty at the very last minute and with 4 minutes left in the game. But either way, we jumped out to a 3-0 lead, and that's why it's so important to jump out as fast as you can to just get leads in the playoffs, because you don't want to have a situation where you lose too many games in a row and you do put yourselves up. You put yourselves against the wall, and you have to rely on your team coming back out of nowhere to doing this. So the Panthers still obviously have them. Now we're in our own territory. We're back on home ice. Great to be back on home ice. And can't wait to go ahead and just see the fans and the team back playing in Sunrise again. So it's big because playing on home ice is so much different to playing on the road, and the team needs it, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that the fans will be ready to go for this one. Like I think everyone's kind of the same mindset where this is a big game. Like let's close them out. Let's get out of here. Not only just for the sake of the series, but the sake of the playoffs in general. I don't know the exact number, but I think it was somewhere like 59 hits to 70 or something ridiculous, just absurd numbers, more than every other games in other series. And it's just like the longer this goes on, like even whoever gets out of the series is going to be so bloody and broken.
Yeah, I mean, game 3, I believe, had the most hits in an NHL game combined all time. 149 hits, I believe, were recorded, which it's not great. No. And I've had a lot of conversations, and everyone said the same thing. Both teams are at this point just look like they want to kill each other.
Yeah, they do. And it's the longer this goes, like wires are going to start to be crossed. Like, it's going to get intense, and as well, like something that I think is a situation to monitor is like it's hard to tell, as we've said with Paul Maurice, like how long the injury is, and it could be way longer for Bennett. But I mean, if Sergachev's coming back, like I think Bennett would possibly give it a go.
Yeah, I mean,
either this game or the next game. It's been about a week, so.
It's been so that happened in game 2, so that was Tuesday. That was Tuesday night. So I mean, tomorrow will be Monday night. So I mean, if we do lose and we go back to if it happens, I don't think they'll start him in a game where we're still up 3-2. But if it goes to a game 7, I could absolutely go ahead and see Paul Maurice go in and say, "Hey, how's your wrist feeling?"
Yeah,
So I have my doubts that you got so much talent on this team. You got guys like Chucky, you got Verhaeghe, you got Bennett. I mean, well, not necessarily Bennett, but right now, but you got Barkov. You have so many guys on this team. I doubt that they'll ever let this get to a situation where we're clowned on for blowing a 3-0 lead. I can't imagine a world where this team lets that happen to themselves, but just in general. They've given themselves too much of a team. They're too talented for this to happen. So I don't want to go ahead and have a conversation with that.
Yeah.
So I think they'll close it out tomorrow night, though.
Yeah, I would say I think so too. I think you get just big game from all your key guys. I just think back to Toronto last year. Like they came out kind of flat in Game 4, and then they just have a great effort on the road. But this ain't Toronto you're playing. They're not going to roll over and die.
It's worth noting too how the Panthers. I do want to go ahead and just mention this too, just because the referees. I feel like the officiating has been so bad this series. I don't want to be the person blaming the refs because we are up 3-1 and everything, and I don't want to go ahead and start blaming the refs or anything. But it's really bad when one team is like it looks like there's a disadvantage just looking at the score sheet. The Panthers only got 2 power plays, and both of them happened. They didn't get a single power play in Game 3. They didn't have a single power play the entirety of Game 3. Game 4, for a certain point, looked like the whistles were taken off in general, and they kind of came back at the end. But the officiating has been bad for both sides. There's been some, we even said it in the first place in Game 1. There were some missed calls that Tampa could have kind of benefited from that didn't go their way, and I feel like there's been a lot of calls that have not gone Florida's way either. I feel like a good one is when Barkov got penalized and it results in a 4-on-4.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
So I mean, there's a lot of times I feel like the officiating has been the greatest, and I feel like we really need the officiating to step up its game because we need to see an even game instead of these 1 power play, 6 power plays where it's not really fair. And I won't say the Panthers have been exactly disciplined, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's honestly kind of how this game is going to be won and lost. Like not the officiating per se, but special teams. Like every game has come down to it really. In Game 1, Panthers get the key power play goal. And then Game 2, I don't believe the special teams really necessarily played a factor. But in Game 4, the Lightning were great on the power play. So I think if the Panthers can just stay out of the box, that's the main thing. Like these high sticks, just got to stop. You have to control your stick on the ice. Like the calls that the officials are making, like the bad ones, there's nothing you can do about that. But the ones where it's a high stick or something after the whistle, exclusive of the Barkov one because he didn't do anything there. You just gotta control it. Don't fall for any of their traps because now that they have like a little bit of momentum here, I could see them starting to just try to get us to lose our cool here, and it could happen. But one thing I want to just touch on, the last sort of thing here was I want to give some credit to Anton Lundell, who I think has been criticized a lot by Panthers fans because he had just such a great first year and then sort of, I don't want to say struggled because he hasn't struggled, but just didn't live up to the expectations.
He's been having a tough time trying to adjust to a whole new system where it's not offensive minded compared to how Bruno and Q had it in the first year. I just want to make this clear for both of us. Lundell is still a great player, very talented for being that young and being able to jump in the league that quickly. So
yeah, no, he's amazing. But I'm just saying he's really stepped up these past few games, I think. Him
Absolutely.
being with Tkachuk, like I don't know exactly what it was, but I just saw like he's just been playing really well. There's stats to prove it, just some generic like money puck stats and natural stat trick and all that stuff for win probability added. But just shows that he can play like with big guys. I think maybe down the line he's more of a winger on with someone driving the play for the line. Like I don't know if necessarily he's a center.
I think we've seen, just based on how Lundell's played, and I've said it so many times on Twitter. I said it sometimes during the season when Lundell was at his worst and he was not doing anything, it felt like. And I said, you have to get him off a line that included Nick Cousins because Nick Cousins does not, he's not a play driver of a guy. He doesn't play, Lundell plays, he needs a play driver with him.
Yeah.
And Luostar's a great line mate, I felt like. But he needed someone, it felt like, he needed someone like Reinhart on his line, or Verhaeghe, or someone like that who could speed up the line and who could just add more scoring depth to it. Nick Cousins, nothing against him, he doesn't add that to his wing, so it made the entire line kind of just struggle. But as soon as you could get someone that could play drive with him, like Reinhardt, when he got moved onto that line for a little bit, that line looked so infinitely better. And with Lundell getting moved up to the second line in place of Bennett with his injury, he's played so good. And to be able to say that, it gives a lot of hope to Panther fans. At least it should.
No, totally. Because I think it's something that Panthers fans have kind of been wanting to see from him. But I think that's sort of the answer. And he's still young and still has so much room to grow. But if that's what he has to be for now, I don't think that's a bad thing, because there's a lot of guys here who are up for contracts, and unfortunately, I don't think all of them are going to be able to stay. I think there's main ones you want to keep on to, but there's salary cap, unfortunately. I mean, just in general, final closing thoughts here for me are: let's go out, stay disciplined. Come back with the intensity you had when the series was 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, because they're going to match it. Their backs are still against the wall. They know it. They know how they're going to have to play. They've been here before, and they're going to give you everything you got. So you have to match it. This isn't going to be like other times in closeout games. It's going to be a lot harder than that. Honestly, it's probably a better team than they've had to finish out, I think, before. Maybe than Carolina. Carolina, I would say, it's up the level. The Boston team was good, but their just headspace was not the same as what this Lightning team is. The confidence they can have if they can get on a run here would be unmatched. So
you don't want to give their core any confidence.
No, and between Sergachev giving them some new energy, I'm curious to see what else they try to pull out here. But Panthers got to match it right back. Just figure it out. It's the playoffs. Just got to get a win.
Yeah, I think my closing thoughts is just I think it's just stay disciplined, one, and also just you just got to get Bob back on. Bob needs to get back to where he was at. Let's just hope it's a 1-game blip, and that's my main takeaway from game 4. Just we just have to make sure that Bob can. If you have I still think even if he was like even average, like last game, I fully believe we would have swept if Bob was even remotely like average. I feel like he just had such a bad game in general, and he had a tough time seeing the puck in general. And if he can at least be somewhat solid tomorrow and somewhat stable, if there's something going on with him, we don't really know or anything. But you just need Bob to have a bounce back game, and if he has a bounce back game, I have no doubt in my mind the Panthers win this game easily.
Get a quick goal to calm everyone's nerves. Panthers tomorrow.
Yes, please. I think the Lightning scored first both times in games 3 and 4. I don't remember.
That was the first game they scored first. I remember hearing that like on the broadcast. But every other game we scored first.
Please, Panthers, just we don't need to make this any more dramatic than it needs to be.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. So get a win tomorrow, and then we'll see what happens next from here. Hopefully, next we're looking ahead to a different opponent, possibly, but we will see. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. All the support is greatly appreciated. Every like is a new Panthers win, and go Cats, go.